Hello again and welcome back to Viewpoints on the Line. We'll take a look at the third topic we're talking about. Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario to decide medical marijuana case. To make a long story, because this is quite a long article, to make it short, you've got a guy that's a pot smoker because he was approved medical marijuana. He had an accident some years ago and it was approved that he do this. Well, apparently he sets up a social joint outside a bar and grill, and the owner is angry about it, saying this is not good for business. People are complaining. Now he's saying, I have my rights as a medical marijuana smoker to smoke here just like the cigarette smokers do, and I want to exercise that right. So the case is now before the Human Rights Tribunal. It's also worthwhile mentioning that his lawyers are fighting for him to end up with what? $20,000 was it in this article? Something in that vicinity. Yeah. Quite a sum for him, which perhaps he needs in this position in his life. So I'd like to hear what the two of you think about it. Some are applauding it as a great battle, signifying people who are smoking pot for medical reasons, they have their rights too to smoke, even if it's outside of business, just like the cigarette smokers. What do you think?
You know, it's too easy to get confused. These are two very separate issues. Speak to me about marijuana.
I agree, they're separate. Yes.
You want to smoke marijuana, you go right ahead. I think it's absolutely wrong for someone to tell you whether or not you can smoke marijuana if you're not operating dangerous machinery or anything. That's a totally separate issue from, I can sit on your front lawn and smoke my joint.
Yes.
No way. Property rights are important here, and this gentleman who owns the bar, if I understand the story correctly, the fellow with the marijuana wanted to smoke it on that gentleman's property. Trespass is not an individual right. If a person says that's the kind of conduct or a kind of conduct that I don't permit when you're on my property, so therefore I'm asking you to leave, that's a proper and right use of property rights. And the need to, I mean, let's say that this poor fella had been a diabetic and he needed to take insulin, but nobody looking at him would know if he was taking insulin or heroin. Is he supposed to be taking his insulin shot right at the front door of this guy's?
And that's what I'm finding. To me, it just, it seems malicious, because at this point it seems like he's smoking it for enjoyment outside the bar and grill as opposed for medical purposes, because people do not take their insulin shots with cigarette smokers outside of a business. And obviously he's destroying this man's business, which I find malicious. And the guy's saying, what do? Go ahead and fight this and pay $150,000 out of my own pocket. In the meantime, this guy's appointed a lawyer. $20,000, so ask yourself the big question, who's paying for this?
Well, that's all picked up by the taxpayer.
Precisely.
It's the same old story.
It's disgusting, frankly.
Don't even get me started on human rights commissions.
Oh, you can go ahead.
Okay. There was a case in BC recently where a young woman who worked in a fast food restaurant refused to wash her hands after going to the washroom. Human Rights Commission said that her right not to wash her hands was protected.
Yummy.
Now, excuse me, okay. Now, this to me is this guy who's smoking his medical marijuana. That's fine. That's not what this is about. He's forcing a confrontation.
Yes, he is.
He is. I'm going to have my rights.
And there's money in it for him. Is this a factor that you think may play in? He's suing for
we're becoming
mental
as
distress.
litigious as the Americans on every little thing. Every little thing.
You know, if he's got mental distress, he's got lots of marijuana to take care of that. You know, it seems to me, you know, no, this is a fellow who, according to the story, used to be trying to smoke inside the restaurant, in the restaurant's then smoking area. Then, of course, the nanny state said you can't have smoking areas anymore, so they kicked all the smokers outside, and now he says, well, I want to smoke outside with the smokers right in front of your front door. You know what?
And that's the loophole. Where is he allowed to smoke this? Well, that's a loophole he's taking advantage of.
The real question isn't, should he be allowed to smoke with the tobacco smokers? The question is, should the owner of the bar be able to tell everybody, tobacco and marijuana smoker alike, if he wants to, go. Back off my property.
But what about if it's off his property but close by?
Well,
I still can't agree with the marijuana smoker because he's doing it socially here.
My understanding of this case is he's on a public sidewalk, but he's right by the door.
That was mine. Yes.
That's my understanding. So he's claiming that he has a right, just as the tobacco smokers do, but
he's
it
doing
is
it
the public.
socially.
But it's still, in my opinion, there's a difference between marijuana and tobacco for children.
And we're going to have to close now. Thank you very much for joining me. That's all the time we have. See you again next time. I'm Christine Williams, and from all of us, thank you for watching.